Hello everyone, thank you for joining me once again. Today we're going to be doing the lesson analysis video for last week's Faster Than Light performance. As usual, we're going to start with a bit of harmonic analysis and then we're going to get into the bass. So let's get right to it. Let's listen to the beginning. Now what's really interesting about that is that I don't hear a clear major or minor third, particularly when Andy hits those stabbing power type chords. I hear it like this. I don't hear. I also don't really hear the minor. Although I would say it sounds closer to a minor, but that is what generally happens when you leave out the third. It sounds darker. Then it gets really interesting because the latter half of that then magically lifts and shifts to this. And those are clearly defined chords: E, D, A, all major, and then basically the same chords, but then followed up with a C, and then back to an E major. That's a really cool part. All right, so that's pretty much what's happening in the verse, but we still have to talk about one more thing, and that's the interplay between the bass guitar and the chords, because you have this happening. The bass is going like this, and those chords are doing this. That second chord in particular is crazy because it becomes a D major over a C. So, yeah, really interesting how, well, in general, bass guitar has that power to transform whatever the chords are playing. In this case, I find that second chord to be really cool. It goes really quick though, right? Because he's just going, so it's not like he's holding it. Anyhow, so those are the verses. And then we get to the chorus. The chorus is pretty straightforward. And the chords in the chorus, well, let's listen to it first and then I'll discuss the chords. Here we come, white light. So right there, it hangs on the Here We Come. Hangs on a C on the bass. So let's just call it a C. Then we get into the chorus. White light, homing in. So it's C sharp minor, A, and then it's E, and it's B. So with the exception of the first chord, it's all major chords. C sharp minor, A, E, B. Again, we have to talk about what the bass is doing because John's hitting a major third. This is something he does often. We've talked about it before. In this song, it goes kind of like this. The bridge is very straightforward, all major chords except for the B minor. Let's listen to that. So, and then it goes to a D and an A, and go back to a G. Do that 3 times again. And it goes to this crazy B flat. and to F. And of course we'll talk about it more when I do the bass, but it does a really cool chromatic line. And back to the G, to B minor. Let's keep listening. Yeah, just this really cool modulation right there, right? B flat to F, and then we're back into the chorus chords, and it pretty much just does that till the end. So yeah, that pretty much covers the harmonic analysis. All right, let's get to some bass now. All right, it's bass time. I've programmed some very basic parts into my drum machine buddy back here, and I'm going to be going through the parts really quickly, just for fun, playing it a little bit slower so you can hear the bass clearly, and then we'll get into a deeper dive. All right, here we go. Hope you enjoyed that. That was just a little thing I wanted to do. Try out my foot switch down here. Okay, so let's get into this. The basic notes are just E to C to A. What comes next is a variation. So many variations. Because in the beginning, and only in the beginning, so the verse kind of has like a A and a B part. So I like to call the first part of the verse the intro to the verse. And in these intro to the verses, it does this lick only once. It's a descending chromatic line on E, starting on E. So let's listen to that beginning real quick. So right there, that's what I'm talking about. At the end of the first chorus, when it goes back into another intro to a verse, this time the intro to the second verse, it does that again. So really only does it 2 times. Okay, but back to the first verse. After that, it goes like this. So that's our first fun slide. Don't get too hung up on, what exact note he's hitting. I think as long as you get the string that he's playing, that you're okay. In this case, I think it's a D. Now I'm not entirely sure, but to me it sounds like the tonality of a D string. And I'm kind of hitting it up here at the D, kind of a something like that. Let's listen to that again. Yeah, C to D sounds good there. And after that, we're going to get into like one of the motifs of the track. And let's hear that. So there. after the, well, right there he does a slide. But the motif I'm talking about is, so it's just chromatic starting on a B flat. And of course, little ghost notes. You don't have to do them, but like I always say, you know, feel is important. So at least do the second one. I think that one's more important. So you could go, or you could do two. It's up to you. Now after that, it reverses that chromatic motif. So instead of starting on an E, you're going to start on a C sharp, and you're going to go. So every time it goes in to a verse, make sure you start in C sharp and go up. Let's listen to that. Hear that? And then we get into Simon singing. And the first verse, you know, is keeping it pretty simple. Let's listen to just a little bit of it. So again, there's that motif. Let's keep listening. Moving in the aerospace. Now, the cool part about that, about the plucking there, is that it's happening in the same place as the chromatic run up. But of course, you're shifting up to the G string, but it's in the exact same place. And of course, you're plucking. So after that, we get into one of the super cool licks. White light shining, you're all alone. So right there, when he sings "You're All Alone," we're going to do this crazy lick. So it goes like this. So you're hammering on from a half step below. So B flat to B, E flat to E, and then A flat to A, then D flat to D. So you could think of the basic pattern as, but you're gonna embellish it with those hammer-ons. What's tricky is to get back down to the E after that and to do it cleanly. Okay, so that's what you should be looking out for there. And then we get into the very last line of that verse. Start out flying, 'cause here we go. So right there, it's just straight eighths on that C. And then we go a half step up to the chorus. So that's the lift from the C to the C sharp. And like I mentioned in the analysis portion, the crazy thing he does here is it's a C minor, but he goes up to an F natural. So he goes, instead of going. So then A, that's a lick we're going to talk about in a sec. This. So lots of chromaticism here. And then we do the E run to a B. That's a cool little thing he does there too, because ending on that B, he does a chromatic up to the C sharp. So B, C natural, C sharp. Did you hear that? There's like a natural hammer off to the open A that happens. Listen. So before I hit the B natural, I'm kind of just hammering off the B flat like this. Now, that's the chorus. However, there are these tricky little times where John follows Simon. And what I mean by that is when he says faster than light, he goes, as opposed to going, he goes. So he's doing the same motif as when you do the A. And that just happens when he sings faster than light. Except for the very last time you go into the chorus, you do that lick right away. And then the last two times of the very last chorus, so the very last part of the song, you also do those licks. Just gives it a lift. We'll go over that once we get there, but yeah, it's just important to keep in mind that sometimes it does that. Okay, now I said we were going to talk about that little riff. Somebody rightfully pointed out in the comments that there are a lot of similarities here between this song and Girls on Film. And this was something that I realized before that I even remembered that this was the B-side to Girls on Film. So I already had this in my mind. Hey, wait a minute. That kind of sounds like Girls on Film. For me, it's that sort of donk-a-donk-a-donk, right? So like Girls on Film is like... So we have that same... And that little lick though, the bonk-bonk-bonk, specifically, watch, I'm going to show you. Specifically in the live version. Here, let me just for a second go over here. There, yeah. Listen to this. In the live version of Girls on Film, when it goes crazy, my favorite part. Listen. Right there. Right? So it's the same exact motif as the chorus of Faster Than Light, but here it's obviously a half step higher because he's going. But in Faster Than Light, we're going. Same thing though, right? The bouncy donka donka donk, and then the for Girls on Film, or here in Faster Than Light, we're going. It's just a half step shifted down in Faster Than Light. So yeah, there's definitely a similarity there. All right, so let's get back to this. And so where were we? Faster than light, faster than light. That last time you're not going to do the B to C natural to C thing because you're not going back to the C sharp. So you're going to go something like that. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of ambiguous there. Just then you're going to do a slide right away. Let's listen to that. So it's a little bit higher than the E, like something like that. Like I said, don't get too hung up on the exact notes of the slide. So and there starts another little motif he does where it's this lick of F sharp to G, B to C natural. So instead of just going, you're making it busier, you're picking up the energy. So remember that we go chromatic from the E down. So that's the second time, and last time it's going to do that. Then I'm not going to go through every single little slide. You're just going to have to listen and choose to do them or not. Suffice it to say that the second verse has a bunch more slides than the first verse, and in general, if you kind of want to make it easy on yourself, when you're playing a low E, then you're more or less going to slide around here, and when you're playing an A, it's going to be up here. All right, just keeping it general, keeping it simple. And there is no plucking part, but that cool lick does repeat, followed by a slide. Let's listen to that. Yeah, that's one of the funnest parts right there, because you're going. Then you're going to go into a chorus right there.
Start out flying, 'cause here we come.
Yeah, and right there's a cool slide too. So instead of just going, you're going to go. Then another chorus. And then we get into the bridge. With the bridge, just have to make sure you're locking in with that. And don't let this get you off time, because it's a bit tricky to go and get right back into the G. So just don't let that throw you off. It sounds to me like the last time it goes, and what I mean by last time is before it goes into the D to the A. Let's listen. Let's listen more closely. Yeah, I do hear that. I could be crazy, but I think it's going. So instead of just going, I hear it going. So that lick is D to F sharp, and then you're going chromatic. And it kind of does a slide there. That's the way I hear it. Let's listen. Yeah. And you could kind of skip notes if you want to. I think it makes it sound a little funkier, like if you do something like. So don't get hung up on going. Don't do that. Just ease into it. Right back into it. Make sure you land on that downbeat, just like Bootsy would do. And then the last time, you're going to go to a B flat to an F. So it's just crazy modulation of 2 bars, and then we're right back into the chorus, or it's kind of like a pre-chorus. We'll get into that. So let's listen. So this is a real cool part, and it gives you a chance to breathe, but you have to remember the pattern. So it goes. And here it changes a little bit because it goes. Let's listen to that. You hear that right there? The first 2 times it does that first pattern, and then the 3rd and 4th times it does. It's kind of a bouncy feel, like and the last time I would end it by going see, I went into the chorus right away into the dun 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 dun. It does the busier variation of the two right away. Let's listen to that.
Lights, 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 lights. White light.
So it does it right away. But then from that point forward, you're going to do it the normal way until he says faster than light again, in which case you're going to swap over to the busier version.
Moving in. Faster than light, faster than.
And then the last two times, you're going to do it the busy way again. And that's instrumental out. So the last two revolutions of the chorus are instrumental, and you're doing the busier part. That's it. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. See you again soon. Bye-bye.